Welcome to Zero Hit Points, everybody. It's June 26th. There it is. Found it. I'm Ryan Miller, and we get glasses Matt this week. Amber. Glasses Matt this week, Amber.
Super nerd.
How come sometimes you wear glasses and sometimes you don't?
More than anything, sometimes, in this case in particular, I think I scratched my eye when I was taking my contacts out a few days ago, and when I put my contacts in, like, Saturday, they were hurting, took them out, then Sunday, tried again, still hurt, didn't even bother this morning.
So I just feel like I got a different character out of the creator this time is all. Like, you swapped, you put the glasses on, you changed your shirt out. This is stupid. This is Zero Hit Points, where we talk about video games. It's the video game one. Thursdays is the movie one. Yeah,
so we can guarantee you 100%. You can go back and listen to casts since we did the book club for movies on Thursdays. We have never ever mentioned a movie or a TV show on this episode.
Nope.
These shows
Hasn't even crossed my mind.
No, we've never done it.
We're
amazing. We are bounty hunting thieves-seers, and that's how good we are at not talking about movies. See, we'll just go right into video games. Then we don't have time.
Ain't nobody got time for that meme.
We had time for it, though. We had time. You had time. We had time this weekend. We actually played video games this weekend together a lot.
Yeah, my wife's out of town, so I've scheduled no schedule.
It's good.
It's Complete-O-Thon 2018. Mm-hmm. You'll see.
Yeah, I can't. Okay, let's get into it then. We started.
Yeah, let's get into the one that's not on that list.
Yeah, we started Friday off pretty strong with some games.
What define pretty strong?
I don't
pretty
know,
strong
man.
From
Look,
your end of that game. We're starting with Sea of Thieves, right?
Sure.
I'm following your cues.
I'm gonna apologize to all the viewers out there. I wasn't feeling well this morning, and I'm still not feeling great, and I'm just out of it, man. I am like,
it's okay.
I don't want to say the word I want to say because I know it's going to follow it. It's going to be a movie thing, but I'm going to say it because we already said we don't talk about movies on this. So if you say anything at all that follows this in regards to movies, we're going to have to delete the whole thing. Okay. And that is, I feel super spacey right now.
Oh, the guy from Advanced Warfare, the video game, Call of Duty. Kevin Spacey.
Yes, the video game action star.
Popular, video game character. That's all right. We can do out of it. That's fine. This is Zero Hit Points. We start slow and we gain momentum. It just takes 7 to 10 years.
They're all right.
Sea of Thieves. Okay. I had an issue. We jumped into a game with some buddies and you remained connected. Well, I guess after we got connected, you had issues too when we started.
I did have issues. Yeah. So the thing that I found was everybody was playing on Xbox except for me. And when I went to connect to the party, it wouldn't connect. It would say you can't connect to the party. Party doesn't exist. Whatever. And it for me it comes from and I have to figure out what the workaround for this. I dealt with it the night of. It comes from Windows Firewall has to be turned on for the games to work. And I keep that turned off because Windows Firewall is absolute trash in every respect and should not be used for anything.
Yeah. Turning it on literally provides more holes in your system.
It actually advertises as like, look at this idiot. It's real great. No, so I turned that back on, restarted the party, and everything worked. So that was my problem was dumb. Your problem was also dumb?
Easy. Yeah, well, so we got into it, and we were doing fine. Like, it was Sea of Thieves, as Sea of Thievesy as it gets.
I think it's the best time we've had with it, having 4 people in total,
Even then, because, we had more people, and also I found it wasn't a message in a bottle. It was, what was that? It was a book.
Yeah.
That inside had, like, a poem, and then by reading it, we garnered a treasure map that then gave us clues that we had to work out in real time. Nobody looked it up online, so we were cool. In it to win it, to do it. But in the midst of all that, I kept getting disconnected, and I think we finally figured out this came down to I was trying to download stuff at the same time on the Xbox.
Like everything that you have had owned in the past 10 years.
Just like 3 games, because like I said, we were queuing things up. This was like a 2 days we knew we were going to be in it type thing.
Yeah.
also because you literally made a statement while we were playing that was like, hey, remember the 360 when you couldn't download? It would just stop the download if you tried to do anything online. I was like, oh yeah, that sucked. It's a good thing they fixed that. They didn't fix that as much. They just let you do it now, and it just screws everything else up while you're doing it. Anyway, so once I stopped downloading stuff, it seemed to get better, but I got disconnected like 4 different times. And then when I finally got back in one time after numerous restarts, and I think I updated my router too and all that.
You did. You said you walked away and updated your router firmware. And like as soon as you got back after that, you disconnected like right away. We were like, well, never update your router firmware in the middle of video games.
But then when I finally got back in, it spawned me in the brig.
Which was great, and I do think that came down. That came from that you kept coming in and out. Like I have to assume that it saw you and was like, "Oh, you're an evildoer. You're screwing with them."
I guess. What is that a problem? People can join your game unwantingly.
Yeah, because you can get match made with people if everything is open and set right. You can get match made with other teams, and there was a problem with people getting put in the brig, and I don't remember how or why it was going on, but I do remember that people would get spawned onto a ship and they'd automatically get put in the brig, and then nobody would vote to keep them out or let them out, so they'd just be forced to stay in there until they quit.
Well, you guys voted to let me out, thankfully. So that was Sea of Thieves. I don't have much more to add to that. It was probably the best time we've had, and that little mysterious kind of mission thing was cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it's fun. It's fun. It's not gonna. I like the game. I like it a lot, even to a point. We've talked about it. Yeah, you're not going to change your opinion either. It's just it is what it is at this point. Yeah, I would like to see them increase something about it. I don't know. I like it. It's fine.
Agreed.
It seems like there is a dearth of things they could mine, and they're not, or I don't know.
They're not following the Ubisoft example so far, it seems, where you can see that thing getting better as like before your eyes. We didn't do the latest content thing either, though. I guess the Hungering Deep, I think, or the Megalodon too.
Yeah, I mean that's all stuff. Like I don't even know how you find. Like none of us knew. I don't think any of us knew how to even find the quests to get there, and none of us looked.
It wasn't surfaced for sure, which I guess is also that game. Whatever. Yeah. Sea of Thieves.
I'm
sure we'll play it again someday. We also did some Forza Horizon 3.
We did Forza Horizon 3. Hey, that was a treat to go back to, actually, in a lot of ways.
That was DLC doing what I like most, I think. Just giving me a reason to go back, giving me a couple achievements to, do certain tasks that I did before that were fun, and kind of remember the game, yeah.
And it was cool to go back, and I love, Barbie Jeep rides again.
That's true.
I hope that Jeep is back in the next Forza, because that will be my first purchase out of the out of the auto show if it's there. That CJ5.
Where did Barbie Jeep begin? Was that?
Well,
have you had that in other games?
No, it was
No?
So okay. So the Barbie Jeep is a real thing. Like there's an actual it was a toy. It was a real toy.
Oh.
And it was based off of that real toy. Like the person that made it, whoever made the skin for they did a livery for it. It was based off the original toy. Barbie had but it was like a Jeep Wrangler. It was a big Jeep Wrangler, and I saw it and I was like, "That's too funny." And I really like the color pink, anyways. So I was like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm taking that. It's perfect for me." And I never see anybody else with it. Nobody. I never.
No,
in all the time
never seen another one.
Never seen another one. So
also, you have that thing tuned to high hell. Like
it's real fun.
I've never beat the Barbie Jeep in my life at any game.
It's super fun. It does occasionally have some handling issues.
As in, it's going so fast, nobody can handle it.
Yeah, no. If I have to make any turn, that thing is definitely going to be rolling for a week.
But there have been numerous times where the Barbie Jeep just flies by, both figuratively and literally in the air.
It is always really funny because every time it happens, I always hear everybody goes, "Barbie Jeep!" It's fun.
Never gets old picking skins for your cars.
It is really one of the coolest things that Forza has going for it. We did talk about the fact though that, and I guess we'll probably jump into this a little bit later because I think you got like final things to say about Burnout. But there are moments when you're playing, especially when you go from one to the other in a quick succession. Like the last thing I remember playing is Burnout, and then going into Forza and going, what are these cars? Why do these cars all weigh because they actually weigh 3,000 pounds.
Whoa, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. No, let's do it right into Burnout. Yeah, I had the same thing. I was like, man, this is a switch. Like it took, and the controls also, it took some remembering. Like,
yes.
There was a little bit of getting back into it, but
all I know is that I got real good at doing flat spins in Forza and finding out those are not real things, for one, and two, they don't give you points, and three, they almost universally knock me out of whatever point streak I had going on.
They will turn you upside down. It seems much more often in Forza Horizon 3.
Yeah, I don't remember rolling this much, but I must have.
But it's still good. Still fun. Burnout, I've teased this for weeks now. My final thoughts on Burnout Paradise: 100% complete, achievements, story, online-ish. I guess nobody's playing bikes, so I'm writing that one off. But Burnout Paradise is possibly one of the, in my opinion, best realized online worlds ever made. Just period.
That's a bold, high standard claim of claimancy that you made.
Every curve, every just inch of that world is designed in a way that it feels like, and so perfectly, because all the events are just everywhere in the world, and you can choose them and you can go anywhere to complete them. Anything from the races, which have beginning and finish points, but however you want to get there is up to you, right? And then everything else, the road rages and all the other tasks are even more open, because you just drive around the city doing what it wants you to do. But in that process, it's just so designed. Like, you get the feeling that just every inch of that thing was made for a reason and in a way and with purpose.
It does.
And it works.
That world definitely does feel like it was built like when they were building it. It's almost like they what they did was this is funny because it goes back to Hot Wheels almost, or it goes back to Forza, is that Hot Wheels thing, right? So like I don't know if you had them when you were a kid, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But the tracks that go together, right? So like it's almost like they took all of that concept, fit all the tracks together, said, okay, this is where we want people to be able to go, and then they just put a skin on it and said, let's make it good, let's make it okay. Because no, I totally get what you're saying. Like, it does feel like everything you can see that you legitimately look at and go, I should be able to drive on that, you pretty much can.
Yeah.
And it does. It allows you to get from point A to point B by going through points A1 through A7000 to get to B instead of going A, B, C, whatever.
It allows you to be inventive with how you solve, in essence, racing game type goals and objectives, Burnout style. So not, this isn't Forza again, like we just said, but
right.
But
it's not good. It's good.
Different goods. We bring the different goods here at 0 Hit Points.
That's our Hall & Oates cover band.
I will I will say that with that comes, I think this is where the problems come from too with that game. Like, there's no fast travel.
Oh, man.
Like, when you go to complete a race or something like that, like if you fail that race, there's no retry and you're on the other side of the map. So literally the only way to redo that thing is to drive all the way back and then start the thing again. And that's especially for the road rages where the
road
AI
rages
is trying to kill you.
Yep.
Like, I get that that's the game, but man, like
it was the ones that killed me weren't necessarily the road rages, because those you could actually turn around. Like, you could just go anywhere with those. Like, and I did that multiple times where if I thought I was going to not make it, I would turn around and head back the other direction, because the traffic will just follow you. Like, you won't get any head-ons. The traffic, but the ones that did hurt the most in those respects and did cause me a lot of frustration were the marked man ones.
Actually, that's the one I'm thinking
of. Okay,
that's
the one where the AI is straight up, you have a direction to go. There is no going backwards. I mean, you can, it's not going to help, but you're going point A to point B, and once you start, or point A to point Z, I should say. And at this point, like, once you get towards the end and you're getting to like the last few races in the last section, your last commendation, whatever it's called, they get super aggressive, and if you are not paying real close attention to where auto repairs are, you might not make it. And they're long drives, they don't get shorter.
But yeah, I get it. I mean, there are some trade-offs with that. I think, I get why they wouldn't have put those things in there, because it kind of forces you to engage with the world in a way. And in the midst of all that, the world is peppered with stuff like the secret passages, things with the fences in front of them, and the billboards and stuff like that, to the point where I found all of those just by doing everything else online and off. Like I didn't need to look up a guide ever, and that's one of my favorite things about games ever, is when
looking
the world
up guides. Oh
no, the opposite of the thing. Yeah. When the game itself can encourage and organically get you to get all those things, like I never even sat down and was like, okay, I'm just going to do billboards, or I'm just going to do secret, passages. What are those things called again? Crashes or smashes. That's what it is. I never sat down and was like, I'm going to do this for X amount of time. I just always did it while I was driving around doing other stuff. And it's awesome. It was really well done, man. Like I get the trade-offs, and I'm totally fine with the trade-offs.
I think the one that and yeah, I'm fine with the trade. I agree with you, all of them. The one that does kill me and it does frustrate me, I think more than maybe any other lack of thing, is the fact that they tried to put in a GPS system that is just really crappy. And it's that flashing light thing, like when you're driving. I wish they just had a waypoint system. Tell me point A to point B. Let me see it on the map.
Yeah, that wouldn't have. Well,
that makes a difference to me. It would have made a difference for me. That's a big one for me.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, though that makes the list, like waypoint system, fast travel, stuff like that. But I could also see how, setting a waypoint would get you to just then follow. Maybe if they gave you a waypoint thing, but then they didn't give you a path to it, like didn't give you a predetermined path. It's like, here's the fastest way to the waypoint you just set. They did the same thing that they do in the rest of the game, where it's like you can set the waypoint and it just puts it puts a thing on your compass that you figure out how to get there on your own type thing.
I don't know.
Yeah, that wouldn't have hurt everything. Yeah, okay.
I like waypoints.
I'll tell you what game does have waypoints.
What's that?
I see where you're going. Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Does it have waypoints? Actually, I don't remember.
Yeah, when you click in the right stick, it tells you where to go.
That's right. That's true.
So I like that.
That was very useful, actually, at one point.
That was a Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. We kind of, this came out of nowhere, really. We were like, oh, we've got these games. What do you want to play this weekend? And that was like, oh yeah. And then we started playing it, and as we were going and further into it, it was like, oh yeah, this is a really fun game. And on top of that, probably has multiple playthroughs in it. Like, it could be worth multiple playthroughs. Oh,
definitely. Yeah. Well, there's like how many characters are in that thing?
A lot. Quite a few.
20, 30.
Something. Yeah. That's good.
And it follows the whole Civil War storyline, so you even get some weirdo. Like, we haven't unlocked Penance yet, but he's in there.
Yeah, we haven't unlocked Hulk either. I mean, or Thor.
True. Yeah, so Hulk. I like. Who even is that, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember Ultimate Alliance 1 that much. It's been too long. I remember liking it.
Yeah.
I remember not playing 2 because I heard it wasn't as good as 1. Can't say that's true.
I don't know where I would have heard that or thought that. I mean, I don't think I
just remember that was my reasoning at some point for not playing it. So
it's been real good, and we actually got former friend of the show, Adam Parkin. The fact that he's not going to join us for PAX this year, and
he's dropped out.
As soon as you drop out of a PAX, you're out. When you come back, you're back in. That's why I'm back in, because I'm going back. So it'll be thing. Adam will probably be back next year. Whatever. Former friend of the show. Thank you for all of your time.
You wanted to take time off to, what is this, quote, play PC games? Oh, funny.
Yeah, nice. Hilarious. Here's the part. Can we please cue the Sarah McLachlan? My body aches to breathe your breath. Your words keep me alive.
This song? This one?
Yeah, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 is a very good game. And it was fun to play with Adam, with you, I guess. Whatever. I really enjoy it's kind of. I like.
I don't know how to take that. It was, as they say, it right here on this paper. It was fun to play with you. Whatever.
I hope that someday we get adverts so we can read copy badly. Like, that'll be the best part. Read this copy. Like, it'll just be my favorite thing. I
always wonder why people don't do that more, and then I realize, somebody finally offered to pay them for what they're doing, and they don't want to screw it up.
Which I feel like if you're coming to us with that kind of money, you know what you're getting, and I think I think we're number one. We're worth it, and
we want to give you $5 to tell your audience about these things.
I think your product is also worth it. People, so come to me. I'm shameless. I'll pimp anything.
Buy those products.
I like what I like about Ultimate Alliance and what is that right off the bat as we started playing though, we've been able to switch characters out. I love that we can kind of go through whoever we want. The one thing, and this is kind of one of those funny reminders about how some multiplayer games kind of have to work, and this is one that kind of has to work this way. Any one of us pauses the game, like it pauses the actual game for everybody.
It does.
I want to change guys. Alrighty, I'm in the middle of doing something. Don't worry about it.
And they've got some like quick menu, like you can press select, and then you can do stuff in the game. It doesn't pause the whole game, but that menu is limited, so it's
really just for
sometimes
leveling.
Yeah,
it's for leveling your character, the specific character you are on up, and if you've got auto spend on
and do I love auto spend? Let me tell you,
you're a fan,
because there's a couple different systems. There's upgrading your character, and then within upgrading your character, there's spending pip points. Pip points?
Yes. Zero pip points.
Or you can spend like some sort of currency to upgrade stats, or maybe those are abilities. I don't know.
So okay,
and then there's stuff besides that. So yeah, at one point I was like, wait, I can turn on auto spend, and it'll just I gain this stuff, it'll upgrade everything evenly. Like. Well, because you don't need it for the most part either. Maybe it's the difficulty we're playing on, but it's basically just we're going through earning stuff and it's upgrading itself on its own. And I haven't felt the need to specify or spec a certain way anyways.
No, I mean, for me, it really came down to just moves that I like seeing the characters do.
Sure.
So that's all. But it's been fun. I like Iron Fist. I like Daredevil.
You do.
Those are my
Well, you get to choose the characters that you like for no other reason than, like you felt. It's the thing about comic book characters. You feel a specific calling to them for no reason at all. Yeah. Why did I buy X-Force books growing up? No reason. Who knows? How did that start?
Why did I enjoy Captain Britain so much? Not a clue.
Literally nobody knows.
Yeah. Even the guy who created him was like, I don't know.
Yeah, let's check out this guy.
He thinks he's British. Something like that.
It's the other thing we should mention is those fusion attacks, man. We've been having a ton of fun with those.
Those are cool, especially Storm. Storms have been that one that like I don't know who we did as the fusion, but like so I guess we should mention that
it was a couple different people. Storm and Gambit was kind of the same thing as Storm and whoever the other one was, I can't remember now.
So one of the things that for anybody who doesn't know, Ryan is an achievement whore. And I'm all the happier to help him achieve his whoreness. So one of the things we were doing while we were playing before Adam kind of jumped in was there's an achievement for doing all variations of the fusion attacks. So each character with every other character, right?
Right.
So we've been kind of doing that. Well, Ryan's got like a spreadsheet or something. I don't know what you're doing. You're writing.
I did find a spreadsheet. Yeah. No, I was. Yeah. Don't ask.
And it's been fun though, because we've had some pretty cool experiments of seeing who does what with who and going, oh wow, okay, did not expect that to come out that way, and it's been cool. It's been real fun. I like those.
And the Storm one basically just took the entire screen and put it in a whirlwind, like
it was like a little ball in the middle of the screen, and I just kept seeing damage numbers going up.
Yeah, enemies disappearing. I think that game does a bunch of interesting and fun stuff with destructibles. And kind of environmental, like you can destroy everything. It's like a kind of like a Lego game in that way. Yeah. But most of them break down into smaller things like warheads or missiles that you can throw that are super fun. Like I having a hard time remembering when I've had more fun with stuff that you can break down and throw.
Especially, I do love it when there's like these pyramids of missiles. You break the structure that's holding them. They all fall down. You can pick them up, and when you pick them up, you throw it. And when you throw it, for whatever reason, your throwing it automatically kicks off the jets on it, so it takes off.
Yep. And then there's the other ones that are just they look like just the tips of those things.
Yeah.
So the warheads just kind of spin off in any direction.
And the highlight of playing this game, though, I think with that situation and then playing with other people is that you are all you're rubber banded
killing
together.
Each other. Yeah.
But oftentimes you are definitely, oh hey, I'm gonna throw this rocket over here at Ryan's head. Didn't realize you were over there. I just saw bad guys.
That's great. That's fun.
It's real fun.
I'm sure we'll be talking about that more as time goes on.
Yeah, we I think we'll probably push through that together here pretty soon.
We must have done half the game that day alone, I think.
Maybe.
Well, we were, I think, maybe one chapter in already. But
maybe. I don't know. When we're done with this, we can go find out.
Cool. I'm not doing anything.
Hey, guess what? Me neither.
That's all the games we played. I don't know. You have anything else you want to talk about?
Nope, that's it. I don't have a ton to add about Dead by Daylight. I've been playing a lot of it, though. It was the one game that I did play some State of Decay also, just not enough and not as much as I wanted to also this week. But I'm hoping to play a little bit more this week before I go on.
Are the bugs getting you at all? I keep seeing stuff on that, but I feel like
no. I haven't had any. Okay. I haven't had any weirdness. More than anything with State of Decay, it's there is a lot of systems to pay attention to, and I'm having to. It's a struggle of a game for me because it's one of those, like, you want to do everything, but you're not supposed to. You're not even allowed to. You can't. Sure. You don't have enough time. You don't have enough stamina. You don't have enough of anything to do all the things. So you have to decide and gauge what are you going to do. And early on, making those choices, like, just, you can follow the general quest line. There's like, everybody has a quest line and you kind of follow the general thing. And as you collect people, like, or bring them into your cadre of folk, some of them will end up having quests that you can go on and do things. I mean, the ultimate thing is go kill all the blood pockets or whatever the hell they're called.
Yeah, right. Blood swarm.
Sure. I can't remember what they're called. It's the blood heart. It's called blood heart.
Okay.
Yeah. Go destroy all the blood heart. That's the ultimate quest goal, and it ultimately gives you all the thing. But there's a lot there, and it's a hard game for me to wrap my head around because it's.
Sure.
The consequences are constant, and you have to make quick decisions, and it's very RTS actually in a lot of ways. These are like real-time strategy games.
Okay.
In so many respects, because you have to build your base. You got to make sure all your people have ammo and food, and they've got power. You can't have too many people in one base because it'll make too much noise. You have to have more beds. You got to have water. Like, you got to have all these things, and all these systems are going at one time while you also need to go out, destroy the blood hearts, make sure that, if there are people around you. Like I had the first experience with a group of people that I just kept ignoring, and I just kept ignoring, and I just kept ignoring, and they finally went from asking for help to they were red on my map and listed as hostile. And I came up to their house, not really like thinking about what are they going to do, and they just straight up came after me, and I had to gun all of those monsters down. Do
you think that gets better in multiplayer? Like, is there?
I think
we get to go manage the same stuff. Does it scale?
So the thing is, it's. And this is where the multiplayer, I don't know if it's a hindrance or not, but it is 100% based on whoever's game you're joining. So whatever they're doing, you're helping that person, and you can make those decisions with the person. And I assume you have some level of autonomy, but you can't, because it's like it's their community, which is how they refer to it. It's your community and my community, and you're going to join my community, but I'm still in charge of my community.
That's fine. In a way that makes sense, especially for an RTS-like game or procedurally generated somewhat type thing, Well, I was just curious if it's scaled in a way that it's still just as hard playing single player, or if having somebody in there that can literally manage some other stuff that you don't have to worry about then after that is an advantage.
I don't think you get to manage anything other than your character. The character you bring in, you gain experience. Anything you do with that character, you get and you take back to your game.
Oh.
So any items you collect that are on your character when you quit or you whatever, you get that. That's yours. But you don't get to manage any of my stuff. Like you won't get to go and swap out characters with me or
well, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it is, again, it comes down to the way they phrase it and the way they put it is that you are joining a community, so you're now my community follower, and I'm choosing to have you come out on missions with me.
Which is cool. I'm sure it's still some sort of fun, but if there's a lack of agency, then that kind of...
Yeah, well, and I mean, and it's
kinda
another
sucks.
game also where you're tethered together too. You can't just like walk off forever and disappear.
Oh, okay. So I can't be like on the other side of the map doing stuff for
No.
you while you're. Oh, okay.
No.
All right. Maybe we should just play that and figure out what the heck that thing is. I really need to. Anytime I sit down, it's just like I it doesn't come up in my head.
No, and
I
it's
need
probably
to.
because it's not a game you've invested actual money in, whereas you have like God of War.
True. Although I'm in a holding pattern on that till
till
my
the wife
back,
gets
so,
home.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Okay.
that's great.
Some stuff did go on in the world, believe it or not.
This
It's still
world-
game related, don't worry. The first thing I thought was interesting is it looks like more than one company out there is having some legal issues.
The Legal Beagles. I like that. That's what you titled this. Legal Beagles.
Yeah, it rhymed.
It's good.
And
They're-
dogs,
Yeah,
like a beagle in a courtroom,
yeah, like Snoopy.
beagle lawyer, dog lawyer.
Yeah, I
You know?
I love it. I think they're the best. Like when dogs wear suits and ties and like glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm just a simple bloodhound.
Oh, R.I.P. Phil Hartman.
Oh man. Hey, so why don't you go with the Friday the 13th stuff? I bet you know more about this.
Okay.
Than is on the screen.
Friday the 13th is never going to have content come out again ever.
Okay.
That's pretty much the end result here. So the folks over at Gun Media and Ilphonic, they knew about this going into the game. So this is one of these.
Or they knew it could be a possibility.
They
from
knew
what I
this could be a
understand.
possibility. Yes. So there's been this lawsuit that's essentially causing it's been an issue for a few years now where the actual rights to the movies and the characters, they're kind of in this weird limbo spot. And if you go back and see that the last time we actually got a Friday the 13th movie was 2009, this is why. So essentially what's going on is like it's a two sides to every story thing, obviously, but there's a legal claim out that says Victor Miller, who was the original scriptwriter, says he wasn't actually employed when the film was made, that he wrote the script on spec, and so that stuff is all his. He owns Friday the 13th, Camp Crystal Lake, Jason Voorhees, Pamela Voorhees, those are his things. Now, whether or not that jumps further out to like the actual look of the character later on, because 3 forward, the hockey mask, they're using the name Jason, but this claim essentially brings everything to kind of a halt. And because of all this, the team Gun Media and Ilphonic, they can't make anything else content wise. They actually can't do anything that changes anything inside of the game from a visual perspective. They can't add a rock. They can't move a tree. They can't add counselors. They can't add clothing. They can't do anything. All they can do now is bug fixes and continue with the dedicated servers for the foreseeable future for the platform for the game. But there's no more. Nothing's coming for this game.
So what changed? Like if this thing's been going on since 2009, the game was made kind of with this in the background. They did kind of know it existed, knew there was a possibility, knew there was some threat of this. What changed that now they had to cease?
So the rights have been up in the air since 2009. The lawsuit stuff didn't really start kicking off until I think last year is when Cunningham started the lawsuit with Victor Miller, and whatever has gone on in the case that came up recently has basically nuked everything in perpetuity.
I guess I'm asking what came up in the case.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's the legal claim that has now I guess it's official. Maybe it's been taken by the court. I'm not sure why.
Gotcha.
It is just this has been an issue. It was an issue for the films, which is why New Line can't make anything and all that. And now it's an issue for the game, and it is what it is.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, it's a bummer. I mean,
it is a bummer.
There's not really anything they can do. Also, they said they've gotten a whole bunch of questions about, well, why can't you just, do stuff and then release it whenever this clears up? Or can't you just do more stuff when it does clear up? And they're like, that's not how game development works. Like, especially for this company, I would imagine, both these companies, Gun Media and Ilphonic, like, this was their biggest thing to date. Am I right?
Yeah.
Like they need to do something on the heels of this rather than get into a holding pattern, for stuff that may never be able to come to light or whatever. So
you're not getting any more content for this game.
Yeah.
I don't know that games like this can survive without constant, updates and attention and content updates, period.
Yeah.
It's so that's a bummer because the feel of it was pretty good, and I'm sure it was just going to get better and better, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And funny enough, the other game that is like this that I am playing, Dead by Daylight, also impacted by a legal dispute here.
Really?
Yeah, that whole Fallout Shelter, Bethesda, Warner Brothers thing?
They're impacted by this thing?
Yeah, because they're the ones who developed it. Behavior Interactive developed Dead by Daylight, also developed Fallout Shelter, and then developed Westworld. And so it's will Behavior now be impacted on it from Dead by Daylight's perspective because of this?
Behavior developed Fallout Shelter?
Yeah, so Bethesda gave Behavior the assets, said we want this game. Behavior built the game. Bethesda published it, as they do.
Oh, all right.
And then Warner Brothers said, hey, we want to do this with Westworld. And Behavior said, okay, we can do that. We have the experience. In fact, we have all the experience. Change the assets, folks.
In quotes, said the man, referring to the code on his computer that he would just reuse, apparently.
Right.
So, I just thought this was, lawsuits like this aren't that rare. They've become rarer just because making video games is such an iterative process that it's hard to, and we're seeing this, we've spoken about this recently with PUBG and Fortnite and all that. Like, what can they sue about? Because it's a genre, not necessarily this, that, and the other.
Right.
The smoking gun that everybody wants is just straight up code. If somebody's stolen code, that's something else. If somebody's stolen assets, art or otherwise, something like that, that's something else. That's easily provable. That's cut and dry.
Yeah.
That possibly could be the case here, it seems like. And I just thought it was interesting because Bethesda became tipped off and didn't seem to care so much, even though that I just thought that Bethesda put out Fallout Shelter. I didn't know Behavior developed them both. So that's just even worse, that explains where the code came from, why the bugs are the same. Yeah, or how they got the code, because that was the thing. Apparently a bug popped up that was in the early, and this is especially damning, but was in the early pre-release version of Fallout Shelter that was quashed before they released the game, and did not get quashed before this Westworld one came out and is appearing in the release build of that. So Bethesda picked up on it and said, "Oh, that's code right there."
Right.
And
I should clarify, Behavior didn't straight develop it. They worked with Bethesda, the teams developed it together.
Sure.
But ostensibly in the cases that we're talking about here, they clearly developed it.
Right. They had access to the code.
Yeah.
Like there's an A to B, and there's no more movement on this, or I don't even think comment from Behavior, but
no, but it does. It makes me curious because Warner Brothers and Behavior are both they're both going to be pinched in this, and I'm curious if Behavior is going to if that's going to impact Dead by Daylight.
Yeah.
This is a big deal, right? Like, this isn't a small thing. You stole code, reused it for a different game. If Bethesda can prove that could be a huge, that could potentially, I'm not saying it will, I'm saying there is a potential huge speculation that if they're pissed enough, that could nuke a whole studio, man. Like, you have a massive studio that reused code. It's not even stolen. It's reused. And then they got caught for it. And technically it's stolen because, dude, that's...
And I guess there's a way, I don't know enough about development or even coding to say that couldn't happen organically. Like, you're developing the same type of game, maybe you made the same mistake.
Dude, same bug, I am willing to bet that the lines of code were copied. There were asset changes.
I was just trying to be nice.
Don't be nice. Being nice is for babies.
So yeah, whatever. Either way, my favorite headlines for these things are Fallout Shelter suing Westworld. Or with the other one that was like, PUBG is suing Fortnite. Because did Braveheart run away? Did Payback run away? What else? Speaking of Fortnite, hey, look at that. Segue complete.
Hey.
Sony's seeing a lot of heat lately for the same thing they've been seeing heat for, but it's getting worse to hilarious at this point with their whole unwillingness to do the whole cross-platform stuff.
It is pretty amusing, to be perfectly honest with you.
So Fortnite came out for Switch, and anybody who tried to use their Epic account there got met with a message that said login failed, because if you've created your Epic account or attached your Epic account at all to the PS4, it won't let you play. It won't use that account on
which has to
other
be
devices.
That must be a new fix, because for a while I couldn't do it either. It wouldn't let me sign in.
I remember, we ran into problems with that. I think that was before the cross-platform was in wide
might have been,
use.
And also might be because it's not just because I don't have Save the World on Xbox, but that shouldn't matter, because I have Save the World. So I don't know. It never worked for me, and that's why I had to create another account altogether, and I did, and that's how we played. But
which is the solve here, apparently. I believe that's the fix that is it Epic that somebody gave out. I don't think it was PS4 or Sony, because they've given out one response that wasn't great, but that's problematic either way, because you don't want, like, your purchases and everything else are tied to your account. So to say just to create another account is completely not ideal.
Yeah, and this is
nicely.
And to be very clear, this is Epic has come out and said, this is not us. We can't do anything about this. This is your account is locked there because of Sony, and that's that.
Epic's been a ton of fun. They're the ones that switched on cross-platform on accident. You know, they're not afraid to point the finger, so to speak.
Well, and I think the other funny thing here is that now Microsoft and Nintendo have both jumped into the whole. We're not only just going to give you the biggest like middle finger from Mario ever. We're going to show you the two companies who I don't know if even 5 years ago anybody would have said, man, these two companies doing anything together, gaming wise, just don't see it. They came out with a commercial.
I can't remember if I've ever seen something like this.
No, this is great, man. They came out with some commercials for Minecraft where one person's playing with an Xbox controller, one person's playing with a Switch, and they have all these little notations about how much better it is to play with each other, to play with friends, to be connected, and it's very clearly a nanny boo boo. We've got it, you don't.
Dude, it's worse than that, man. It's
it's a get on the ball.
Survive together is the tag at the end there.
Survive together. Look at that. Like, that is in no way shape. Whoever came up with that from a marketing perspective, that person deserves one hell of a raise.
The freaking tweet from the Nintendo account, Nintendo of America, their literal official thing says, Nintendo says, hey, Xbox, since we can play together in Minecraft now, did you want to build something? It's all couched through Minecraft. That's the game they're using. But still, it's so directed. It's great. It's insane. No, I've never
perfect.
seen anything like it.
And it's funny because they're not like these are weird volleys, right? These are not the kind of like your standard we're volleying because we've got better tech than you, or we were saying we've got better games. These are volleys saying, hey, idiots, let's play video games because that's what we all want to do. How weird is that? Like, that's the volley, right? Like, that's so bizarre to me.
Yeah, no, totally. Reggie's statement is just as good, too. It's in this Polygon article. I don't know where he actually gave it to, but he says, quote, you have companies like mine that encourage crossplay and enable crossplay. You have a developer and a content owner that wants crossplay and is encouraging crossplay. And then you have the other platform holders, and what it is that they do. And when it comes to other platform holders, as much as you have influence on other platform holders, I don't. And that's a decision that each of them are making. And some are supporting crossplay and some are not. You can imagine Reggie saying that in a way like that dude.
No, I think that guy is hilarious in every respect. He is the perfect corporate like face, and he is so entrenched and part of that. He oozes everything out of his mouth is some way to make Nintendo sound like the funnest thing in the world, and we love everybody.
But he's got like an edge to him. He's got like an underlying thing about him that's like, there's like every other word is a swear word in his head, actually, right. But he's just kind of parsing.
I also like the fact that he is a gigantic man, and that he could just beat the piss out of either of the other heads of gaming. Come on, Spencer, what are you going to do? Yeah, you work out. I'm going to Battletoad your face.
And then Sony did give a response that was everybody hates, but so we should tell you about it. It says, quote, "We're always open to hearing what the PlayStation community is interested in to enhance their gaming experience.
Except
with more than 80 million monthly active users on PlayStation Network, etc., etc." The whole thing is pure garbage.
Yeah, basically it's our players clearly don't want that, and we don't want anybody else's stuff touching ours.
It's so dumb. It's
money.
Yeah.
Whatever.
The reasons are dumb, and they are suffering, and they will continue to suffer, it seems. It's just whether or not they think their perceived advantage is worth that suffering. Because at this point, it's public image. And Fortnite's the game to do this, too. Like, everybody freaking knows Fortnite. And any headline that comes out that's like, Fortnite doesn't work in this way on this platform is bad. There's no way around it.
No, I mean, look, this is I legitimately, I've said this before, every single time, I am more and more surprised, and I don't know why. That game is... it may not be the biggest game on Twitch right now, even though it probably is. I know that League of Legends just passed X number of viewers, but I think that's total. In any case, the fact that Fortnite is now worldwide, it's known everywhere. It has been. I was waiting. I actually told Beth this the other day. I was waiting for this to happen in the World Cup. We've seen it happen in NHL. We've seen it happen in NFL. We've seen it in MLB.
Do a Fortnite dance.
Freaking Fortnite dance in the England game during the World Cup is the first one. It's like World Cup. You are on the biggest stage for every other country in the world sports. Like, and this is happening. Sony, catch the net, buddies. Like, all you're doing right now is you're hindering people that already have the game and are already on your network, and you're hindering people that may want to get onto your network for other things. Like, why? Let it all happen.
Figure it out. Yeah.
You're not losing all that much, honestly.
At the like, if they want to do something that's slightly less damning, maybe just enable Fortnite. Like, that could solve 2% of the problem.
And that's the thing is just come out and say, okay, we'll do this on a case by case basis. Do it for that. Do it for Minecraft.
I know that creates other headaches, but still, yeah. I mean,
but you say case by case basis, at least that gives you plausible deniability to go, yeah, we looked at it, we don't want to. Like, how many games are going to come along that are like Minecraft and Fortnite that have that big of an influence, that big of a reach? Where strictly speaking, those are the only two games Sony needs to enable crossplay on, and that will alleviate probably 98% of the complaining not even complaining, just the comments. That's like, okay, you're willing to do it. And then that if they do it with those 1 game, 2 games, that leads to them going, okay, it's not that bad. And then things open up. Yeah. But
I mean, hindsight, but they could have just been doing this from the beginning, and it probably would be far less of an issue right now. It's the fact that they're completely stopped up. Like if Fortnite just worked like this, if Minecraft just worked like this, and has been since the beginning somewhat, like, I feel like there wouldn't be a ton of people out there being like, why doesn't it work with everything? There would definitely be some. It wouldn't be the freaking snowball that it is right now.
No, not at all. And of course, there's always going to be people whinging about stuff, but whatever.
Anyways,
speaking of whinging.
Yeah, do you want to give us some... so we do things that aren't 0 hit points. And we're nothing if not defined by our professions. And Matt, I know you have an investment and special knowledge when it comes to stuff like this. So take us through this Red Shell analytics software thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where you can be surprised, but you shouldn't be.
Is this just PC, or does this software exist?
Yeah, this is just PC. Oh, so what Red Shell is essentially it's a marketing tool that is supposed to do data analysis based on things that Red Shell likes to say are anonymous. Okay, so what happened here is game developers they'll create an ad on Facebook or something on a Twitch channel or something, And they want to know which ads are actually generating, which ads are showcasing the game best, which ones are getting the views and bringing people into the game. So it's tracking links, it's launching content, and it's holding into this information, creating a spreadsheet data, whatever, and sending it off to the developer in theory. So what Red Shell states is Red Shell does not collect personal information about users, such as names, addresses, or emails. It doesn't track users across games. Red Shell tracks information about devices. We collect information including operating system, browser version number, IP address, anonymized through one-way hashing, screen resolution, in-game user ID, and font profiles. I just want people to understand two things. Never, ever trust any analytics software company that says everything is anonymized and we're not collecting your data and we're not selling it. Maybe they're not selling it, they're sure as hell collecting it. And if they're not collecting it, if they're not actually physically collecting it and holding it on site, they're collecting it and sending it off site. They have that information. No question about it. I have very, very little doubt about it, especially since they consider it not private information.
Also, that's their freaking business.
Right.
Like, that's what they're there to do. Like they may put these protections in so it looks like they're not, the devil, but they don't want them there. Like, they're not going to take them seriously. They'll fudge it, if they think they can in the least.
No, and that's, and keep in mind, I mean, look, that's every company in the world. That's every single
this
company,
isn't,
right?
I mean, they should to some degree. That's what they're there for.
But the other thing that is awful and needs to be called out, and this is part of what they're being called out for, is there is no opt-out for it. And the opt-out that they do actually offer, because it's cookie-based, if you go to their website, choose opt-out things on their website where you have to opt out for specific games or whatever, if you clear your cookies, those come back. They can come back.
And let me tell you, I clear my cookies.
Clear them all day long. Do it every time.
There are 0 in my house right now.
So it's what has happened here is because so many people found out about this and got pissed about it and said, my privacy, which can't argue that. It's a perfectly good reason to not have these things on there. A number of teams, a number of developers, I should say, have pledged to remove it.
Well, yeah. I mean, let's not act like the companies aren't a little complicit here. I mean, I know bigger companies that they're dealing with a ton of little, moving parts and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, they would want this software in there for a reason too. They're using it, so
definitely
it's good that they're responding. And if you want the list, it's out there. You can go look it up. There are companies that are taking it out. There are still games where it is in. They haven't taken it out yet. They're promised to take it out, and I think there's games where it's in and nobody's promised to take it out. Is that right?
Yes. Yes. There are a variety of games in both camps.
Be conscientious.
Just be aware.
Right.
It's not going to stop. It's only going to get worse and more obfuscated.
Also that, yeah. And that's the bulk of the show there. We've got something we call the capper that's coming up next, where we're going to try to spend a few minutes on something that's maybe not as ridiculous as everything else, but we never know. 100%,
we never know. So. It's time for the capper.
And this is a selfish one, maybe for me. I mean, we've had a mental health discussion recently.
Literally a single one.
That's true. Well, I mean, depending on how you classify mental health, we've had a ton.
Ah!
But one in particular. Either way, there have been some recent developments in the field, and there's never any good way to say this, but in the times where we're not speaking completely out of our butt are so few and far between that they're worth mentioning. I have half a degree in psychology, so I say selfish because I'm very interested in this stuff. I don't know why. Psychology has just always interested me for one way or another. I kept going, in fact, in school until they started, they're like, okay, now you have to take all these math classes. And I was like, oh, do I?
You don't.
Film degree it is.
And you didn't need to. And then
Anyways,
film school.
But the World Health Organization is adding gaming disorder to its globally recognized compendium of medical conditions and diagnoses. This is what they announced, I think, last Monday. This is coming largely from an article from Polygon. But it shows up under, quote, disorders due to addictive behaviors, and it's for the final draft of the 11th revision. And basically, we're seeing it now because they're calling it an advanced preview. It hasn't been ratified, so to speak. They're hoping it'll come out in the May 2019 edition. Semi-related if you've heard of kind of mental conditions or disorders before, or psychology before, you might have heard about the DSM, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. That's the big one that people talk about most often. And there's also an internet gaming disorder there, but also it's just listed under a condition for further study. So basically, we're on the cusp of this stuff. Nothing's set in stone. And I guess that's maybe what we're addressing here. Mm-hmm. It's important because these books are used by, doctors, supposedly.
So they're real things. This isn't just some some quacks getting together and saying, "Hey, look at our little ducklings."
I joke. I mean, I'm no Tom Cruise here in so many ways, thankfully and otherwise, but psychology is a soft science either way. Like these books are incredibly helpful, but still, it's not like there's a difference.
There's a difference. Yes.
Yeah. So to me, it's interesting. Number one, because of how it's defined, and this is it word for word. I think we'll just go through it.
No, go with it.
Gaming disorder is characterized by a pattern of persistent or recurrent gaming behavior, parentheses, digital gaming or video gaming, which may be online, parentheses, i.e. over the internet, or offline, no definition on that one, manifested by 1, impaired control over gaming, e.g. onset, frequency, intensity, duration, termination, context. 2, increasing priority given to gaming to the extent that gaming takes precedence over other life interests and daily activities. And I think that's maybe the more general, like when we talk about addiction or even just abuse, drug abuse, stuff like that, that's one of the qualifiers there, is that your personal life is impacted in such a way, like you're showing up late for work, your relationships with other people are suffering, stuff like that, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
3, continuation or escalation of gaming despite the occurrence of negative consequences. I guess that's what I just mentioned too. The behavior pattern is of sufficient severity to result in significant impairment in personal, family, social, educational, occupational, other important areas of functioning. The pattern of game behavior may be continuous or episodic and recurrent. Game behavior and other features are normally evident. Now I feel like I'm just reading the disclaimers for a medicine.
That's pretty much what this is, because I think you honestly got it.
Okay.
It's. Yeah.
Yes, that we got it. So this is seeing some backlash, not only from the ESA, which I feel like is the least reputable source for backlashes, because they just
the ESA has like 6 guys and 4 ladies that all met under a subway tunnel and were like, "Hey, I like video games. Do you? Yeah, let's tell people what's okay." Like that's
also E3, right?
Yeah.
They're very much financially and otherwise invested in video games, period. They will often, especially as a conservative, like politically, I think they're oftentimes conservative I don't know. They have business interests. They very much will come out and just say, yeah, anything with video games is good. Like the bad things don't exist. Are you crazy?
Right.
So them, whatever. But there are actual other doctors out there that have a reaction to this thing because for several reasons. But
in particular, Christopher J. Ferguson, who's a PhD that actually spoke with like a lot of the quotes here are going to be from him or from the guy who actually wrote the book with him, but is also kind of has slightly different mindset. Anthony Bean, who's another PhD from Fort Worth. He's a clinical psychologist.
Right. They basically state that they're not sure they have enough research to single it out because this isn't a new phenomenon. It's new in that they're directing it at video games. Like gambling addiction is in there. That's a thing.
Right.
Addiction is drug addiction.
And they reference that with the entire concept of how much of Europe has now classified loot boxes as gambling.
And that's a case where political action has been taken, which they also cite concern with some of the reasons for its appearance in these books as being partly political,
right?
Not only from Europe, but also because Korea has seen such a bad, like they're all about gaming addiction. They're like,
China,
it is real.
China and South Korea.
Yeah. So they're concerned that there are political reasons involved too. That's valid, but I mean, Korea, like from what I understand, those countries can make a pretty good case.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're concerned about the distinctness, I guess, of the descriptions here. basically where the harm comes in is that this becomes an actual thing. This becomes classified. The plus being that doctors have a thing that they can diagnose and then treat people for. The downside being that, mom and dads out there everywhere who say their kids already are addicted to video games have a thing where they can go to the doctor and be like, he's addicted to video games, and not, I'm a horrible parent type thing,
Right.
So,
but they also think that in quite a few situations that this is less something that is the actual diagnosis and more an underlying
right.
or a symptom of an underlying situation. And the concern they also have is that those underlying issues, depression came up, and that's the first thing that I read this, and that's the first thing I think of, and probably because it resonates with me that I go that direction. But I see this, and the first thing I think of is like, are there people that are addicted to games? I'm sure there are. I have no doubt. Are there other things going on? Maybe. And depression is the one that I would go to. I know that for me, absolutely it's manifested in multiple ways with games, the most recent being my whole inability to play them. And I'm trying to get past that. But their point being that things like depression or something else is abuse of other type, or something else is being, this is how it's manifesting, and right. that if that's all people are looking at, which of course is not necessary, but if that's what people focus on, the underlying issues could get ignored.
Yeah, no, it could be helpful, but yeah, that's why I mentioned bad parenting, because right. It's not necessarily that they're addicted to video games. It's that you never ever told them to stop playing video games and meant it in a way, that let's probably not get into parenting. But yeah, I mean, and that's nothing new for addiction. In fact, I would say, again, coming from a place of knowledge here, like more often than not, there is an underlying reason, to addiction. Like sure. It's not just that. And I know that gets fuzzy because we are talking about addiction here. Like you can't go up to an addict and say, hey, there's an underlying reason, because he might not say he's addicted at all, let alone know why. And even then just think, oh, I have an alcohol problem at best, not
sure
whatever else. So I get that. But there is there's a plus and a minus here. I think for us, like in the real world, for people, it's more of an awareness thing. Like you might not necessarily know you have a problem, but there are indicators out there. There are places to go to recognize and deal with addiction, no matter what that addiction is, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right. And the one positive that I think, or not the one, but one positive I think that you're kind of alluding to here is that with that awareness allows for maybe places that you wouldn't have thought to go for a gaming addiction. Maybe right. they'll be a little more welcoming and a little more understanding, as opposed to, oh, you're just a so-and-so who just wants to play video games.
Right.
I do heroin. It's not a competition. Right. It's not a competition, but it's when it becomes a quote unquote, viable diagnosis, it becomes less of a competition in some ways, maybe.
Yeah. And I mean, all the places I've been, judgment is very rarely a thing. So I would say if you think you are struggling with this, like you're not going to walk into a program and looking for help, especially in that environment. There's not a lot of people that'll blow you off in that way. But if you've never been, or you've never had you've never been confronted with that type of thing. I mean, it's a very real thing. You don't know, you get into your own head about it. You're freaked out about it. And then, and the thing is, this is just stupid, but I mean, it's not, but 0HITPoints.com.
I think every single person that's ever had to go to anything like that's ever had to confront anything like that, I think every single person has had kind of the same reaction initially. Like there's every single person, and maybe I'm wrong, but every single person has this reticence of, I don't want to. And then there's the moment of maybe, but right. there is so much resistance, and everybody has that built up resistance, because it doesn't matter if you're going for, heroin, alcohol, whatever. Right. You're being asked. You're asking yourself to walk into a place surrounded by people who you don't know, may or may not have similar symptoms, may or may not have similar addictions. You don't know what their reaction is going to be. You're if you have, addictions and are things that in so many ways, the addiction is, you get into a snowball because you think, okay, I maybe I'm realizing something's wrong. I try to tell somebody, the reaction that I'm getting is not the reaction I want. So I snowball further and further. And then you just get into your own head about it. One bad experience can snowball and turn into a lifetime of nightmares. It's true. That can happen. It's not necessarily everybody's experience, but.
And we could go forever. I mean, basically.
And we should, because we're clinically diagnosed medical professionals.
But it's especially with gaming where there's has been historically an escapist aspect to it.
Right.
Like that's not unheard of either in addictions, like take alcoholism, like the addiction, right? But yeah, I mean, you do it. Gaming can be the same thing. You do it to get away. And it's hard to go somewhere and be like, I might be escaping too much. Like I've got to come back to the real world some. Like, that's not easy for anybody. I can't even, condone doing that to a certain extent.
Yeah, no, now, especially if you're using social media, just don't. Stay in the game.
Anyways,
give it a few more years. Wait till 2020 and see what happens.
Yeah, just to put some positivity out there. Like, if you're gaming too much, think about it.
And if you need help with things, there are people that can help.
No matter what book this ends up showing in, if any,
I can tell you one book it won't show up in, and that's the Book Club for Movies, which is coming out this Thursday.
I wasn't expecting this show to go that long, but however long it went, I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out. Until then, if you got things to say, if you want to tell us things, tell us how dumb we are, tell us about security issues you have. You want some information on host files, emails, podcasts at 0HITPOINTS.com.
Yeah.
We're on the
website.
website.
Send your name, address, and emails to 0HITPOINTS at pod. No, wait, that's all. I don't remember what our email is.
Yeah, podcast at 0HITPOINTS.com. We're on the internet. You can find us. We're here. Listen to our voices. They're dulcet. The tones, they're amazing. Come back on Thursday. We have Book Club for Movies. This week it's going to be Near Dark. And that's a real fun treat for all you bloodsuckers out there. Until then,
bye.